definitely a hidden gem. I can't say that enough. I think that a lot of people overlook us because we're small, and I think that it's until you actually come to Kingston and sort of walk around downtown, see some of the restaurants, see some of the pubs, realize what your life would actually be like if you lived here, and meet some of the staff, that sort of thing. I think you don't really appreciate what Kingston has to offer. So I would just say have an open mind and come to your interview and sort of look around the city and go out and see what it has to offer, because I think it really does, and it's only until you're here that you really see it. I really like the special skill set that you get as an anesthesiologist. Very early on in anesthesia, you are given a lot of independent responsibility. You really do have a specialized technical skill set. So you come into situations with patients who are really sick at code blues or other emergencies, and the basic skills that you get even in the first year or two of residency really enable you to deal with those things far better than a lot of other specialties, just because of the stuff that we do every day. It's a really good feeling when you walk into a room and things are crazy and the patient's really sick and you actually have something to offer and you're not even halfway through your residency yet. I think that's pretty unique about anesthesia, and it's not something that other people in the hospital really have. As anesthesia residents, we don't have fellows, and we start doing call the same as everybody else right as a junior person, so as a junior resident. It means that whatever comes in, that's your case, so you don't get trumped by anybody else. And so the cases that you do see are really your own, and you get to take responsibility for them a lot earlier, and it just means that the cases you do see, you're way more involved in than you would if sort of there were fellows around. If the hospital was so big, you wouldn't sort of know everything that was going on as well as you do when it's a small place. One of the things I've heard in talking with other residents is that our staff are really involved in the OR, maybe more so than in certain other centers. Our staff are very committed to resident teaching, and so during cases you get independence early. So I mean, the case is yours, and they push you to try and come up with a plan and manage the patient yourself. But then when the case is underway and there's downtime, the staff are always very willing to give your oral exam questions or talk about issues that come up with the cases. So I think we do get very good teaching in the OR, and we have a lot of staff that are fellowship trained. Most of our staff are fellowship trained, so I think that part of it is also really good. We have a good working relationship with our staff, and because you see them routinely, it's a small group, so they get to know you quickly, and so they can push you more than in a bigger program where you may be meeting someone for the first time. Even in your 4th and 5th year of residency, there may be some staff that you've never worked with before.
The smallness of the program is a huge advantage, I think. We're a city with 2 major hospitals. There's an ambulatory hospital and then the main general hospital. So all of the volume and all of the exposure we have is fairly concentrated, and you're in a relatively small cohort as you go through, and that keeps things fairly close. And there's a lot of support from other residents in that kind of environment where everything is so focused and concentrated in a small area. And the programs are solid. They benefit from being very collegial, very well supported, and lots to see, lots to learn from, and so many great faculty, so many great physicians here who just love to teach and are just so good at it that it's a really good place to come train. Outside of the 2 hospitals, the new School of Medicine building has just opened this past year, and there's an entire floor dedicated to simulation training and technical skills type training, which is fantastic because depending on what rotation you're on, you can participate in simulation drills. I'm doing my emergency medicine rotation. You can, during that time, participate in the resuscitation rounds where you go through code scenarios, you go through resuscitation scenarios and emergent situations.
Being in Kingston, there's a really good balance between work and life. Not only do our programs value that kind of balance, Kingston itself has a lot to offer in terms of outdoor activities. For example, you can drive 5 minutes from the city and you're on a really good road cycling trail, or you can cross the street and you can put a kayak in the water, and really affordable. I am paying off my student loans and I've bought a house, so it's very advantageous early on in my career. I think our program is really supportive in terms of allowing us to go various places to do electives. For example, I was in China for 3 weeks to learn about acupuncture, and my program director was totally cool with me going off to do that. I think in that sense we gain a broader perspective by being able to go to all of these different places and going away to do various electives. A year ago I hurt my knee playing soccer, and I couldn't walk, and walking is quite an important part of my job. I fortunately had an incredible amount of support from my department, really accommodating. Like, I can leave midway through an OR day to go to my physiotherapist, and everyone just keeps asking me how my knee is doing, so they're incredible during that time.
The other advantage of being at Queen's is that there's only one hospital. And so in the course of a week, you could be doing OB for one day, you could be doing the ortho-trauma list another day, you could be doing gynecology one day, neurosurgery on Thursday, and then to top off the week, you're doing vascular cases. So it's really quite nice, it keeps you on your toes. I mean, it makes for a more dynamic, I think, and a more engaging educational experience. Very nice that part of core training now includes the focused thoracic echocardiogram component. You're learning to scan and use an ultrasound as well. So I think that with the more widespread use of ultrasound quote-unquote technology nowadays, it's a great advantage to be able to hold a probe in your hand very early on in your training, learn how to optimize the image, learn how to recognize the anatomy that looks different under ultrasonography than direct vision or in the textbook even. So just that, to have that skill very early on and being able to perfect it throughout your whole residency while you're here will make you a better clinician. So if you're thinking of coming to Queen's, you need to be ready for that. You need to be willing to be in an environment that's collegial, that people know you, want to know what you've done on the weekend, know if your partner's been in town, or know if your family's been in town, or if you've just had a child or whatever. So if you want to come to Queen's, you need to be able to be part of a family, a close-knit family actually, and be an active and a proactive part of that family.